Hi everyone, it's Sal Jade and I'm joining you here live today in How to Be Psychic to announce our annual Halloween competition, which is something we do every year here in How to Be Psychic for those of you who are new to the group. And I'm also going to be answering some really fantastic topics that have been asked this week and over the last couple of months that are going to help you improve your psychic development. So we're going to be looking today at channeling, so asking questions about whether or not you are channeling, if you're going to be accessing lower realms, and do you need to connect to a higher force before connecting to angels? So this is quite a controversial question and I'm really excited to answer it today because it is a little bit complex. So I'm going to delve into that. We're going to look at pendulums and whether or not inaccurate questions can influence a pendulum. We're also going to look at whether or not you can use different types of oracle cards with this course other than angel cards. So just different kinds of decks that you can use. And I'm going to talk about how to do successful phone readings. So I've been asked that question and I love that question about how to, do you pick up on voice vibrations, how to do a great phone reading. I'm also, as I said, I'm going to announce the Halloween competition as well. And if you are joining me live here, hi Jen, pop in your name and where you are from, just so that I can say hello and see. Often when people pop in, they realize they're all from the same place, which is fantastic. Lots of amazing connections getting made here in How to Be Psychic. So please pop your name in if you're here joining me live and say hello. And if you're not here live or if you're not sure, then just pop in hashtag replay and I will answer any questions you've got afterwards if I'm not here live anymore. So please keep in mind that I'm live now, but you might see it tomorrow. And so I won't be live. So don't think I'm ignoring you. It's just that I'm no longer live. So, hi. Ooh, who else is here? I've got a few others coming. Good. Awesome. So I'm going to just get started by first thanking everyone who's written the beautiful, wonderful reviews over the past month. I really appreciate it. The lovely, I had Heather Cohen. I read her review this morning. Miranda Montgomery, your review absolutely brought me to tears. Thank you for taking the time to write so much detail and share your experience and your transformation from How to Be Psychic. I really appreciate it. It really, really humbled me. Thank you to Laura Hillman and Cindy Strom and anyone else who popped in a review in the last month. Thank you so much. It means the world to me when you just take a bit of time to just say what you liked about the course to help me out and also help out any students that might want to buy and who might think this would suit them. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get straight stuck into the topic. And as I said, if you're here live with me today and you've got any questions about the course, about your psychic development, about anything psychic related in the healing realms or the psychic realms, please pop it in and I will answer it after I've gone through these lovely questions and topics we've got. So we're going to start with Cherie, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right because I know sometimes Cherie can be Sherry. So Cherie says, she asked this very great question. It's become very controversial within the psychic industry, and that is about connecting with angels or channeling angel messages without connecting to a higher force first. So whether that higher force is the creator, the universe, the all that is, and she asks, is it enough to just come from your heart? Or do you really need, is it important that you connect with another force first rather than what you've probably been learning in this course and other courses? And then what makes it a little bit more complex is she was mentioning that on some other Facebook web pages, people are saying things like, well, if you're worried and bringing fear into your readings, then yes, you are going to channel lower beings because lower beings are very attracted to fear. So I'm just going to sort through kind of how this works in my world, and it might not work for you. This is how I do it, and in the hope that that gives you a little bit of inspiration. First of all, I know when it comes to this topic that people can get quite agitated, they can get quite stressed, they can get quite dogmatic in believing that they are right and other people are wrong. I always say, just do what works for you. Like, my idea of right and works for me may not work for you. And so that's a really important thing to consider. So don't get too hung up if you've read that someone who is another instructor or a psychic teacher has said this is the only way you can do it, and you feel intuitively that doesn't sit right with you. Just, you've got to trust your own intuition. It's got to come first, no matter what anyone else is teaching. So I'll just say that in the beginning. But adding to that, yes, it is good to make sure you've got some guidelines and to make sure that you're not opening up and channeling lower energies and making yourself attracted to lower entities and lower energies. So for me, the way I was taught when I became a theta healer was that I do go up before every session when I am channeling angel messages. So what I mean by that is I've got a client with me and I'm going up and I'm channeling through what I'm getting for them from a guide, from an angel, and it might be my guides, it might be their guides. And when I do that, I do a ritual before I go up and I connect with the creator first. And then I come down through the lower planes and with the angels, the ascended masters, and I come through and then I ask for their help too. So when I'm directly channeling like that, that's what I do. And Jen, who's here now, will probably remember from the 10-week advanced tarot program. I go into that a lot more detail about how I do that more. I call that advanced channeling, going in on those really higher realms. I do quite a big ritual with that to make sure that I am only bringing in light. I will say though, like on a day-to-day basis, like say I need to talk to the angels about, finding a parking spot or clearing the weather for a party, or, I want to find the perfect dress for an event or something as trivial as that, or, things that are not so make or break are going to change my life dramatically. I often don't then go up and do the whole big ritual by connecting to the creator. I will just immediately just say, angels, please help me. Okay, so for me, as I said, that might not work for everyone else and a lot of people will disagree. For me, the angels please help me, that's an instant one I do without a whole lot of ritual and a whole lot of rigmarole. So I like to do that when I'm doing small things. And even if I'm on the run and I'm just picking a couple of cards, I don't sit down and do a whole half an hour ritual because I would go batty if I had to do that all the time. How much I'm calling in the guides and angels, I'd have to be doing it 24/7. So like for me, if it's something small and relatively inconsequential, I don't worry about attracting in lower realms because it's not such a big intense thing. It's not something that's going to knock me off my socks emotionally if it doesn't work out. Like it's not something that's really going to be life or death or something that's going to ruin my life. So little things I tend to just call in the angels' protection and ask for my best and highest good. When I'm channeling for other people, I always make sure I connect with the creator first. Okay, so that's my rule of thumb. Once I've done it, and you might be curious to know when I do that in a session, once I've done it once for a client, I don't have to keep doing it each time I ask questions. So it's just a once in, go up before they come, connect, and then when I'm chatting with them for a while and I find out why they've come to see me, then I'll go in and go up and connect again. Because sometimes I get knocked out a bit of that theta, I get knocked out of that higher realms if I'm just doing chatty chat, like how are you going, did you find a park okay, and that kind of thing. So that's generally how I do it, and that's what works for me. As I said, it might not work for you. Always ask to come from the heart, as you've mentioned, Cherie. Yes, it is important to come from the heart and set the highest intentions, but sometimes you might feel if you're dealing with something very serious and you are channeling lots of energy, that you want to go to the creator first to make sure that all the angels and ascended masters and everyone you're connecting with is coming from a higher place when they're advising you. So I hope that makes sense. Hi, Dan. Lovely to see you. Where are you from, Dan? I don't think I've seen you on our live things before. Love to hear where you are from. So I hope that helps, Cherie, in just trying to understand. And I do get that, fear breeds fear. We don't want to all run around paranoid and worried and anxious. In my master health readings and psychic wellness, I do talk about trying to elevate your vibration consistently so that you don't have to worry about bringing in lower realms, so that when you do a quick on the run psychic reading or a quick I need to know what's going on, that you're not constantly having to do these big massive psychic protection rituals all the time. And that's just part of nurturing yourself consistently as a psychic. So, doing things like meditation and grounding will prevent a lot of that darker energy from coming in. So I hope that has helped. So now, so I do have to add, that's actually not how I was taught as well. So I thought I'd mention that. So I will learn by Anna Seibel with the healing. When I learned with her, I didn't. She didn't teach it like that. She taught that yes, every time you're channeling, you have to do that. But for these on the run things, you still have to go to the creator. As I said, that was my own development. That's my own thing. I just want to check if everyone can still see and hear me. I've moved into a new house, and I'm meant to have brand new spanking wonderful internet, but now it's telling me the video has been paused. So I'll just wait and see if people can still. Jen, can you still hear me? If you can you post a little message? And I'm assuming you can, so I'm going to keep going. So, Colleen asks me about pendulums. Oh, no. Let's see. I think I've lost my internet connection. I'm just going to write this. Oh. Yes, you can hear me. Good. Sorry. I know it always looks silly when I sit here trying to figure out the technology, but it's telling me that I'm not connected, but sometimes I am. Thank you so much, Melissa. Thank you. Sorry about that. The joys of Australian internet. So now I'm going to move on to Colleen, and Colleen asks me a question about pendulums, which is great. I actually haven't been asked much about pendulums, so I always get excited by very new questions. And she asked me about, with a pendulum, like, do you need psychic protection every time you do it? I would definitely say yes, but don't worry about doing a big, massive protection. You can even just say a quick, angels protect me while I'm trying to find this information. And she also asks, if asking a question incorrectly, like the way you phrase the question, is that going to negatively impact upon the pendulum and give you a negative answer? Now, for those of you who don't know, a pendulum is just when you can use a crystal, or you use an item to ask a question, and you basically check if it's a yes or a no. So it's kind of good for those yes and no questions. And how a pendulum works, from my understanding, is that you are basically tapping into your subconscious to find the inner wisdom to get the best answer for your top good. Now, the reason why there is so much iffiness, I guess, around pendulums, and why some people don't like them, and why some people find that they use them for a long time or a little bit and then stop using them, is because they are affected by your subconscious. They're affected by your body rhythms. And the most important thing to do while you are using a pendulum is to be very calm. So it's very important that when you are asking, should I move into this house, or should I date this person, or should I, like those yes-no questions, that you're incredibly calm. And so you either meditated or you've been in nature before you ask the question. However, because most of us are human, when we are faced with incredible, I guess what we call crucial questions to answer, and we go, oh my God, I've got to ask my pendulum what's going on with this, we're often not calm, and it's hard for us to be calm. And so because of that, pendulums are often very much affected by our energy. So I can recall once in a week when I was having a very terrible week in my romance department, and I asked the pendulum a question and it went no, and then I got someone else to ask it and it said yes, and then I asked it and it said yes, and then it said no, and that's because I was all over the shop. So for me, yes, obviously the question is important, but I also think it's very much independently of what's going on in your subconscious, because that's what it's tapping into. So, and other people might totally disagree with me, but for me and my understanding and my experience as an intuitive and in my own journey, I've used pendulums not to connect with what's the best from the angel's perspective, or what does God think about this, but from what do I need to know in my inner wisdom. So that, but as I said, it's very subjective inner wisdom. It can be all over the shop. So as a result, I don't use them as much anymore, and I do tend to use them for things that are just a little bit less significant. I'm going back to that, what I call, should I go on this fasting diet, or things that are not really going to be like, should I buy this house? Something that might get me into massive debt. For more deeper questions, I tend to use and favor cards, because I know my subconscious can be all over the place. So I hope that has helped Colleen about pendulums. I'm sorry if I can't go into a lot more detail, because they're not my speciality. I do use them. I don't use them in psychic sessions with clients. I use them personally. And I've used them a bit, with friends and mucking around, but it's not something anyone's ever really given me money to do for them on their behalf, or done it on a professional level. But I do, as I said, it's a very well-respected ancient divination tool. It has a lot of benefits in being able to tap into what's going on for you. Sometimes I love a pendulum. Sometimes I might say, a question like, should I release this course next week, or should I, something like that? And the pendulum might say yes, but intuitively I'm going, no, I don't want to. So sometimes pendulums remind me of what I do and don't want really fiercely, and that can be good too. It's almost like the opposite answer gives me a really renewed sense of powerfulness, instead of feeling powerlessness when trying to make this decision. So I hope that makes a bit more sense. Rena, you've got a question. Wonderful. I'm going to read the question out and I will answer it once I've gotten through everyone else's. Rena, I've meditated more and last week my ears have been ringing non-stop. That is very, very common. People have been telling me it's because my spirituality is awakening. I can answer that quickly. Yes. So that's absolutely like, often people will either get like a taste in their mouth, or they'll get bells ringing, or they'll get kind of the sound of their audio faculties just opening up. And that's what it sounds like you are doing. And it's exciting. I mean, it's strange and it's confusing, but it's actually really exciting, because when you get physical symptoms from trying to open up, it's usually a very good sign that the angels are sending you big messages to say yes, yes, yes. And they often do that because we are going into this quite a bit in psychic readings, intermediate level, about all the different blockages we can have, and that whole question of, is this in my imagination? And the reason angels send us those physical symptoms, because that's something we'll kind of really believe, because we often have to feel like we see an angel in technicolor glory in front of us for us to believe it's really happening, and not in our imagination. Whereas physical symptoms, we're really like, oh, actually I'm getting these chills, I'm really getting these chills, or I'm getting this itchy third eye, and oh, wow, okay, I'm getting this feeling of heat all down this side of my back. And we'll believe that. We're more likely to take notice of physical symptoms than doubting ourselves and thinking, well, I got an image of Merlin and I felt that Merlin's presence, but I must have just been making that up. So I hope that makes sense, Rena. I would definitely say those physical ringings are a big sign that your clairaudience in particular is ready to go to another level, and also just be a little bit protective of your ears during this time. So while you're opening up in your ears like that, I would definitely avoid really loud, aggressive music. I used to be a big fan of loud, aggressive music, so I've got nothing against it. But when you're opening up audio-wise, I would just be really careful about really intense sounds, going into loud crowds where there's multiple conversations going on, because that can really kind of, it's almost like it shatters your equilibrium a little bit. And just being aware that, your ears are going to be a little bit more sensitive at this time, and just to, look after them. We have chakras in our ears. We often forget about that with our main 7 chakras, but we do have beautiful ear chakras, and they're like a violet red color, and it's really important that we just honor them and look after them. So that's what's probably going on with you with that one, Rena. Leslie, hello, darling. Hello, Vaughn. Hello. Okay, so I hope that has helped, Rena. Now, something I wanted to add about the pendulums, and this is actually, this will apply across the board for cards as well, for everything really, and that is when, like, if you get a cloudy message, or if it's saying something and you're confused and you don't get it, it often just means the soul is not ready to know that information yet. And I know that sounds like a flaky kind of hippie trippy answer, but we really sometimes have to trust our journey when it comes to asking psychic questions. Like, sometimes we might get the answer to a question and it might totally devastate us and send us off on this spiral when we're really meant to be focused. So sometimes when we're getting cloudy stuff with pendulums and things like that, it's because right now we need more information to come in before we can make those decisions. So I hope that helps a little bit more with that, sweetie, with Colleen. Okay, now, and I would add also, make sure that you cleanse. If you're using a crystal or any kind of pendulum, just make sure you cleanse it regularly too, because that can affect the blockages in it too. Now, I hope I get this name right. I apologize if I get it wrong. So Somatica, I think that's how I say it, wants to know, how do you best tune into someone on the phone? Like, do you tune into their voice vibrations? How do you get the most accurate reading when you're doing a phone reading? Now, so I'll give you a few tips here. Look, if you want to get really deep into it, I do go into it in my 10-week advanced tarot program, because I go in how to do Skype readings and phone readings and email readings in a much more kind of detailed. But just for you now, where you're at now, what I do is I prepare before I go in by just tuning into whatever messages that person has sent me. So say, for example, they've sent me a Facebook message saying I want to do a phone reading, or an email message. I spend a couple of hours, I pick a couple of cards for them, and I just, be on the phone. Then when I get on the phone and we're chatting, often information will start coming through, but I just actually just let them talk. I might jot things down that automatic writing facility that can come up. But I just tune into them generally the way I would tune into them as if they're in front of me. So because when I'm tuning in, I will close my eyes. So I'm just closing my eyes, and I ask them to close their eyes too, even though they're on the phone and I can't see them. They might not be closing their eyes, but I ask them to do that. And then I just go in and I tune in and connect with their energy exactly as if they were sitting in front of me. So there's no difference. There's no distance problems. And in fact, some people prefer doing phone readings because you don't have that non-verbal stuff to feed off on. Like, so when you're doing a face-to-face with somebody, you can be saying, and, you know, I really feel like you're going to be going to a lot of airports this year, and they might get a puzzled look where they're thinking, I've got no trips booked, and that puts you off a bit. Whereas a phone reading, you don't get that feedback, so you can tend to be a little bit more confident in trusting yourself. So, yeah, it's not so much the voice vibration, it's just their general energy. So that's how I do phone readings in a very kind of brief nutshell about how I connect with them before. But as I said, I always do a bit of preparation beforehand as well, because that just gives me a bit more insights to them. Hello, Angela. Hello, Marion. Hello, gorgeous. Hello. Oh, Rita, that helped. Awesome. Thank you. So my last question comes from so funny how sometimes I forget to write people's names. It's a bit, where am I? Okay, I'm very sorry that I have not written your name, the lovely person who asked this question. Oh, it's Sandra. No, I just remember because she wrote it on the Udemy Q&A board too. So Sandra asks, she's got these crystal fairy cards and she wants to know whether or not she can use the crystal fairy cards with this course. Absolutely. You can use any oracle cards with this course. You know, the only thing I suggest you don't use with this course really is the tarot, because I've got a whole separate course, Tarot Card Success, on the tarot. But for oracle card readings, this course is perfect. You can use anything for that. Like you can use unicorns, mermaids, you can use any kind of oracle cards you like. They don't have to be specifically angel cards. So I hope that has helped with that question, Sandra. Now, before I'm going to start, I'm going to announce our Halloween competition that we do every year. Has anyone else got any other questions before? I'm just going to scroll up because sometimes the questions don't show up. Yep. Has anyone else got any questions? If you have, just pop them in. And so every year I do a Halloween competition, and what I do with it is, those of you who've been with me for a while, even if you're not joining me live, you can still enter this competition. And so I've got 10 prizes up for grabs, and 3 of them are part of my VIP programs. So you can choose the top 3 prizes. You can choose either from my VIP psychic business program, which is called How to Earn More Income from Your Psychic and Healing Services. So that covers all of that social media marketing, blogging, how to get your name out there, how to attract more clients, how to plan for your business, what tools you need when you're running an online business and as well as an offline business. So it's got like over 10 hours of modules. It's my very big VIP program that's perfect if you want to be a professional, and it is $97 US. It's not something that's ever taught or sold on Udemy. It's completely unique content, and it's not discounted. So you can win one of those, or you can win my How to Be a Bestseller on Udemy, which again is not something that's sold or discounted on Udemy. It's a program that goes into everything that I have learned as a Udemy instructor in the last 6 years. So all my best secrets and tips and strategies about how you can connect with your students, how you can create amazing courses that will sell on Udemy, how you can become a better teacher by being on Udemy, like all the strategies and how to get Udemy to market your courses for you. So that's $197 US. As I said, it's not something that's available on Udemy. It's one of my VIP programs. So you can win one of either of those. That's the first top 3 prizes. And then the next 7 prizes are any of my Udemy courses that you choose. So I've got currently 8 Udemy courses. I'm bringing out a new one in November for love relationships. I'm very excited about that. I'm currently recording it. And so you could also get that one if you've already done all my other ones. So any of my 8 Udemy courses you can choose as a prize for that. So the next 7 prizes. Now, to enter, all you have to do is you just have to complete one of my courses by Halloween. So I'm going to draw this on Halloween. Now, if you've already, so say for example, you've already completed How to Be Psychic, then you just need to have one of my courses, or if you're halfway through another one of my courses, you need to complete it by the 31st of October. I'm going to draw it on that date. All you need to do is post a copy here in this group of your certificate. So your completion certificate, post a copy here and use the hashtag Halloween competition. Or if you know you're not on Facebook much and it's not something that suits you very much, or you don't want your name in there, then you can email it to Kathy, my VA, at team@saljade.com. Now, the more you enter, so that the more courses that you have completed, the more entries you get. So say you've done, like you're completing all of my courses, then you then put all those in, because the more you get, the more chances you've got of winning one of those prizes. So if anyone's got any questions about that, you're having issues not being able to watch it. Oh, I'm sorry, Angela. Sorry, I have to check in with everyone. Jen, can you still hear me? Can people still hear me? The internet's doing weird things again. I'm just going to write, Jen, can you hear me? Again. I'm just going to check. I'm hoping you guys can still hear me. Now, Nikki, I've seen your question and I'm going to just answer that too. Yes, Jen, can you hear me? Sorry, Angela, I'm not sure why it's not coming through for you, but I will make sure I tag you in the replay if you're missing this. So sorry about that. The internet is doing odd things in my new house. Thank you, Dan. Thank you. Yes, thank you, Colleen. Thank you, Melissa. Thanks, guys. So any questions about the Halloween competition? I'm going to draw it on Halloween. Now, I am going to draw it on the American Halloween, I might add. I know some of you know that I'm on a totally different time zone to you guys. So it's going to be 31st in the US. That's going to be the date that I will draw it. So you've got until the 31st to enter. All you do is send a copy of your completed certificate. You post it here in How to Be Psychic under hashtag Halloween competition so I can find it. Otherwise, it'll be a bit hard for me to find. Or email it to team@saljade.com and you can win one of those psychic business programs. Hello, Ebony. So I'll draw that live, as I said, on the 31st, and I can't wait to see who's going to win. We have a lot of fun with it every year. I dress up in Halloween. You can dress up in Halloween too while you're watching it, or Samain, as we call it in the witchy poo world. Now, I'm just going to check in if there's any questions. Nikki. Oh, she's replying to Rena about the ears. Yours began ringing nonstop at the beginning of this process and still do. You saw an audiologist and she didn't find anything significant. Yeah, so that does suggest it's probably something a bit spiritual happening in the spiritual realm with that one, definitely. Okay, thank you guys so much. I am so grateful that you came and joined me today. And I'm also looking forward to, I'll be posting a couple of things coming up in the next few weeks about my new course that's coming out by hopefully the 12th of November, if all the technology is beautiful and the internet behaves itself. So I'm looking forward to sharing that with you. And for those of you especially who are interested in relationship readings, I'm doing a course all on that. So I'm really looking forward to sharing that with you. It's slow, but you're back. Awesome, Angela. Well, as I said, honey, if you've missed it, I will just tag that for you. So I'm just going to sign off now. Thank you for everyone who joined me live and everyone who's watching the replay. As I mentioned earlier, just put hashtag replay if you're not live. And if you've got any questions still at all, please pop them in here even after I've signed off. I'll come back in and check them tomorrow. Thank you. Oh, Colleen. Oh, if you haven't protected yourself properly with a pendulum, what happens? Look, I don't personally, and I know people might yell at me, they often do, I don't think it's a huge deal not protecting yourself with a pendulum, because with a pendulum, you're actually tapping into your own subconscious. So I'll explain a bit about how psychic protection works for me. I think when you're tapping into your own subconscious, you don't necessarily need a lot of protection, because you're not trying to connect with entities or spirits or ascended masters or gods or goddesses or the higher realms. You're actually just connecting with yourself. And I don't think you need psychic protection every time you connect with yourself, because you're not likely to bring in something negative, because you're just tuning into your own energy. So does that make sense? So I don't think it's a bad thing at all if you use your pendulum and you haven't necessarily done a lot of psychic protection. Definitely if you're worried about it, do it. But I don't think not doing psychic protection is going to give you a false answer. So I hope that makes sense, Colleen. Yeah, I don't think it's, for me, not such a big deal. Others might howl me out of town about that one, but I think it's because it's you tuning into you. It's not you saying, angels, what do I need to know, or connecting over and deceased and asking the question. It's you connecting with yourself. So I hope that makes sense. Sherry, hello. Oh, check in with the replay, Eileen. Wonderful. Awesome. Oh, and Angela says she also, with her clairaudience, had ears clicking and high pitches too. Yeah, look, it's really common. Don't freak out about it. It just means that you're opening up, and then just make sure that you're protecting them. Another way to protect your beautiful ears, and I might sound really obvious, but try not to avoid negative conversations, you know, because that damages your ears. If you're engaging in malicious gossip, or someone's being really, really negative and nasty, just try to move yourself away from it if you can. I know it's not always possible in our modern world, but if you can, just kind of, you know, move yourself away a bit. Oh, thank you, Colleen. Thank you. Awesome, lovelies. Thank you so much again. As I said, I'll be checking in with you. I'll do some reminders for the Halloween competition as well, to just, you know, as I said, you just post your finale, I've finished your certificate here, or just send it to Kathy, and I'll post some reminders as we get closer to the date as well, and you can win one of those top 10 prizes. Thank you so much for joining me, everyone, and I hope you have an absolutely amazing weekend. Bye.